Hey guys, it's Tuesday night and it's the Speedway Chat Show. I'm Jerry Sims and this is my mate Charlesy.
Hey Jerry. Hang on.
How are you?
Go like this.
The light just fell. 2 seconds.
Oh, Jezza.
We've been rehearsing all afternoon. Right. So me and Charlesy have been looking at this and we're going to do it. Charlesy, we're going to go for it. Ready? Sorry, that's something stupid, but it's all good. My light's fallen down.
You look good anyway, Jez.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, one of there we go. Had to happen when we go live. Hey, so it's been a crazy week. We have one of the biggest names in Speedway for you this evening. And yeah, but before we go there. Charlesy's got a message that we've seen this morning, and talk about it quickly.
Yeah, just quickly. Jerry and I, just like everyone watching this show, we're Speedway fans. We're doing it because we love it. And to see the comments that you guys put on are absolutely fantastic. I woke up this morning to a really great message, and the message read this. Great show, guys. Looking forward to tonight. You're just what Speedway needs. And I thought, oh wow, it's a great comment. Then I looked into William Cairns and found out that this is William Cairns, which made the post remarkable. William, a message from myself to you, mate. You are what Speedway needs. The young generation, the young boys, the future of the Speedway. You are what Speedway needs. There's plenty of Jerry's and Charlesy's out there, granted not as good looking or funny, or don't host the world's most famous Speedway chat show, mate, but there's plenty of us and there's not as many of you. And because of you, Jerry and I are going to go and put together a junior Speedway chat show for all the young kids or young kids that we can get from around the world to chat about their experiences of Speedway and going to school and harassing mum and dad. You're the real legends of the future of the sport, mate, not us. Your comment means absolute world to me and Jez, and so does all the other comments. But for you to put that on there, saying what Speedway needs, mate, it's just remarkable. So thanks. I just wanted to post that out. Hope you're watching as well. Thanks, William Cairns. So look, yeah, without further ado, we've had messages and questions and a lot of anticipation around tonight's guest. A man that is truly remarkable. They call him the Grin. He is a Speedway champion of the world 4 times. From LA, please welcome Greg Hancock.
Hey, how are you, Greg?
What's up, guys?
How are you, Greg?
Not bad. Not bad. How are you guys?
Mate, we're just living the Speedway Facebook Live fame. Close to 60,000 minutes our videos have been viewed for. So you'd have to watch them for 38 days, and that's not even enough of me and Jez. But we might even top 100. Might even top 100,000.
Yeah, Charlesy's even getting recognised at home now. Like his wife and everybody know who he is.
Really?
Yes, I hired these off my son Jay. Can't say hello, Jay. There he is. He hired him £10 an hour.
£10 an hour. It's a good thing you're not clocking up all those minutes then.
So look, moving on. Jerry's got the first the question. Let's move straight in. We've got loads of crack through.
No problem. Hey, how's my camera, you guys? Am I cool? Is it hanging in there?
Yeah, you're looking great.
You look nearly 50.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just wanted to know, like, what's happening for the Hancocks now? Like, what you're up to, what you're doing. Obviously, it's coronavirus, so you're not moving too much. But what's life entail for you guys now? Obviously, you have a lot different pace of life to what you had before.
Dude, we're crushing quarantine. That's about all we can do right now. It's a lot of stay at home, but like everybody, I think in most places around the world, even where you guys are, you're kind of stuck at home. Our options are very limited. It's not too bad. We live in a cul-de-sac here too, so it's kind of open. The kids can play right out front, but every day they have Zoom school meetings, and from anywhere from sort of 8 a.m. till usually around noon to 1 o'clock, they're all done. and then they finish their homework, whatever they got to do, and we make the most of hanging out in the cul-de-sac, man, right around the house.
Cool. And obviously we've been asked a lot, how's Jenny?
Jenny's great. She's, you know, she finished her last radiation treatment now about almost 2 months ago. So literally what is it, maybe 6 weeks, as the lockdown kicked on here, she was in her last week of treatment. So radiation treatment. So it was good because it was getting obviously the hospitals were getting pretty tightened up, and you got to be rigorous checks when you come in and all that sort of stuff. So to finish her last treatment at that stage was awesome. And now, you know, it's building her immune system and getting her strong again. But man, she's maintained a pretty good quality of life, and over the last, you know, 4 or 5 months, and since all her chemotherapy was done. But she's getting stronger every day, man. We can't complain.
Brilliant.
So looking towards the future now, Greg, you've obviously got young Wilbur who's throwing his right leg over the motorcycle, so that's going to be a challenge. Family life is going to be different for the Hancocks, from living in Sweden during Speedway season to foreign schools for the kids, obviously in Sweden. Now back to the motherland. Is it going to be life as normal for the Hancocks?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, we're obviously it's a new normal for us, and more for Jenny than anything. You know, this is a big change in her whole life, and you know, she's adapted to all the things she's got to do now, and different tablets and stuff she's got to take for the next 5 to 10 years. We don't know, but as far as us, yeah, I mean, California it could be a worse place to be stuck at, and you know, we're living it up, and you know, dropping out of racing and not doing that anymore. That's kind of that was probably the biggest shock for me over the last year, and you know, trying to first of all, taking, you know, Jenny's health was number one, and then trying to deal with everything, and oh my gosh, you're so, you know, for 30 years or something, I've been doing the same ritual of preparing to go racing, and you know, through the winter, and then leaving home here in February time to get over there, get everything situated. Usually my mechanics in the later days, they had everything dialed, you know. We did all our testing in the end of the year, so everything was done. So when the season started, we just kicked off and tried to build momentum. But now it's this is our new normal, you know, and the kids are surfing and mountain biking. Wilbur's road biking with me a lot more now too, and you know, it's a great life. We can't complain, but I miss racing for sure.
The Muscle Beach, Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, not really showing as yet on your body, but I'm sure you'd be. Yeah. I've been there. Really is like it is on TV. It's hard nut muscle gyms, isn't it? How far is that from you guys?
It's about a 45-minute drive to go to Muscle Beach, but you know, I zoom the camera really far out here, so I don't want you guys to see how buff I am, because you know, I mean, I've always been a big
I'm the
dude,
same. I'm actually really far away. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
big heads, don't worry. I can't. I'm sitting a mile back from the camera.
No, it's, you know, we live in a pretty good part of the world here, you know, but if you get down to Muscle Beach there in Venice and all that, it's a different world, right? And I hope that people that have visited that don't actually think that that's what it's like everywhere here.
Yeah, I think my daughter does. She's massive into Ariana Grande and that whole LA. You know, she's 16, so she just thinks you go to LA and you walk past celebrities and it's the Hollywood thing. She looks at all that a little bit different as well. But it's a beautiful city, mate. Especially when you go north up to Orange County and things like that. It's beautiful in the suburbs.
That's it, and we're in Orange County, so it's you know, that California on its own, it's kind of like its own little country. But when you get, you know, parts of LA and parts of Orange County where we are now, it can change so much, you know. And it's been an awesome community here. Under the circumstances, this coronavirus deal, we've actually, knock on wood, it's gone fairly smooth, not that many cases, and it's a beautiful part of the world. So if you haven't been here, you should check it out when you're allowed to.
Yeah, when you're yeah.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times to California. It's pretty cool, especially like you say, Orange County and stuff. I went to the Orange County Fair to watch the Speedway at Costa Mesa.
Oh,
that was a crazy night. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Costa Mesa in '95, I think it was.
It's because you're old.
Dude, hey, easy there, Jerry.
Well, I don't. Those types of venues, Greg. There's a few iconic speedway venues around the world, and I could go there without motorbikes racing and soak up the wooden fences, the moments that have happened at those places, and there's still a few in Australia that when I go there, I get goosebumps from the memories that have been, Mildura in Victoria, where Lee and Jason Lyons all grew up, and I go there as a speedway fan and just go, oh, this place is just filled with, proper speedway emotions and incidents over the years.
What about the ECA?
Yeah, see, the ECA never got used much, did it? But I tell you what, the Series 500 that you raced in, that threw up, there's a few videos online. I think Sudden Sam's in one of them, and they hanging off the boards around the ECA, mate. Some big ovals there.
Dude, I'm lucky, not to get off subject here, but I mean, that Tappy series was insane. I had so much fun. He was ahead of his time, really, right? And a lot of the stuff that he did. And,
I'm glad to say that. I'm glad to say that, Greg, because Jerry made me take the series out of the questions tonight.
Oh, he did? All right. Okay. I won't elaborate too much.
No. It's cool.
Charles,
it's cool.
you and I can go way back on this stuff.
Oh,
no, the ECA was insane, dude. I mean, that place, when I went there the first time, watching Sam and Kelvin and Wiggy and Crumpy, Lee, those guys were banking off the wall in the pit corner there. And I just remember, like, you had to get the corner right, you had to scrub the edge of that fence. And I've just been going, it was so narrow, and it was just like, I just thought, you can't race this place. It's not possible. But once you get rolling there, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and you said about Tappy, the Series 500 Car Care Products International Speedway Masters.
We're not going to talk about this.
No, we are now, because you brought it up, and my boss says it's okay. He was ahead of his time, and for people don't know what we're talking about, a guy called David Tapp, I think it was 94, 95, after Boise had just become third in the world in Voyens, brought a whole host of international stars to Australia and basically had a Grand Prix set up in Australia. And it was the likes that kids like myself had never, ever seen before. Tappy had you all in shirts. The bikes went on a truck. You drive to the next venue. You do shopping malls. You do interviews. It was a different level and clearly before its time, because obviously the Grand Prix were coming. But what Tappy did, and I remember saying to you at Cardiff just gone, you guys, every single one of those riders that went to Australia is responsible for the talent that's coming out of Australia now, because the crowds we used to get there to watch the series, you guys single-handedly reinvented Speedway and made the kids, the Josh Grzonics, the Bachelors, the Chris Holders, all these kids that were youngsters then, Greg, go, wow, imagine being an international. And that's what it was all about. It was crazy times, mate. I mean, Joe Screen used to run amok, Shane Parker. Oh, Jesus. That'd be a whole different show, right?
Firestarter. Jono. Oh, my gosh, dude. The list is long. There were some. It was great. We could talk about this for the whole show, but any of you haven't seen it, you should YouTube it and just check it out. Because Tappy, hats off to you, man. You had a lot to deal with during that period too.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met you, Greg, was at Gosford, the Quick Snacks International Speedway. It was called back then.
Yes.
I met you there as well.
Yeah, well, Jerry, I think Greg takes the cake. But Greg, the first question I ever said to you was, hey, when you do a practice start, why do you turn your handlebars left? Because everyone, you said, because it's different, man. It's just a bit of showboating,
That was rehearsed.
Yeah. So anyway, Jase, that's our series. I got it in.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, no problem. Anyway, we're gonna love and leave you, Tappy. We're moving on.
Yeah.
So it's your go, Charlesy.
Oh, so let's move on to the Grand Prix if we can, Greg. The stalemaid of the Grand Prix series. You've been the winner of many, four times world champion. Have you got something that stands out, Greg? I know it's an iconic question and a cliche one, but does anything stand out?
Man, I'm stoked that I got 4 world titles to begin with, you know, and each one of them had its own individual merit to it. You know, there was some sort of a circumstance going on here and there, and you know, I think for me, probably 97 winning the first one was just like that was the wow factor. You know, it was like, wow, I just did it. That's what I set out to do from a, you know, a 7-year-old kid basically, and here I am, like literally 7 years old, dreaming to be the next Bruce Penhall. That was my goal, right? And there I was, and it was just like a shock to the system. That standing up there with my crew, with Roger and Craig Hadley, who was my longtime mechanic from the UK, like those guys, the hours that all these dudes put in, they always get left behind. The mechanics, it becomes all about the rider, but the mechanics are like, they're such a key part of everything. And I'm just stoked that I had the chance to do that. But 2011 was a little different because I was married to Jenny then, and I had the 2 of the boys. I didn't have Carl, wasn't with us at that stage. But to be on the podium with your wife and your kids, like for me, it was like I've seen a lot of guys do this, and now it's my turn. And it was so 2011 really stands out. It was 14 years from the time I had my first one, and I think that wow factor was just what the heck's going on, man? Am I a real late bloomer?
Yeah. I think, you know, you sent shockwaves through the sport because you know, you were somewhat older than some of the young chargers coming through, but you also at the same sense set a new standard. Everyone was, you know, you're renowned for how quick you are over the first 30 yards or so, but that speed is very, very seldom brought back by another rider. But there has been occasions, Mr. Hancock, where it looks like it's in the bag. It looks like it's in the bag, but it's not. We do have a video.
If I'm going to stop you, I got to stop you right there because, you know, Jerry didn't want you to bring on the tappy thing, and I definitely don't want you to bring on what I think you're going to bring on.
What am I bringing on?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Go ahead, have your moment. Have your moment.
Well, Greg, it was the year that I got to do a Speedway ad and tell everyone to get the backside trackside June 30 Millennium Stadium Cardiff for the 2007 British Speedway Grand Prix. So watch the tape. This is one of the races of the Grand Prix.
It would be such a massive boost for British Speedway. 4 laps of action. Hang on to the edge of your seats. Because Hancock has made the start and Chris Harris is last. But he's coming through now into 3rd and into 2nd as well. Chris Harris battling with Jason.
Oh, he's out of shape there. Oh, he's well out of shape. He's gone from 2nd then into the back into 3rd place.
Thanks, Kelv.
Loves it, doesn't he?
Oh, Chris Harris up in the 2nd spot.
Oh, this is unbelievable. Hancock looking comfortable. But Chris Harris
Hancock's got this. Greg's got it, hasn't he?
Harris is wheel to wheel with Hancock.
Oh, he once again. How does he miss him? Whoa, wonderful throttle control from Chris Harris. Go, Chris Harris. Greg Hancock, though, he's an experienced campaigner. He's going to have to ride all
Can't lose it from him.
Don't say that, Kelvin.
Come on, Chris Harris. Down the back straight he goes. And Hancock looks over his shoulder.
Yes.
Watch out for this here. This
Chris Harris. Oh, yeah.
Greg, talk us through
Anyway,
it.
I think we just lost transmission. I can't hear you.
They're pinnacle moments of Speedway, and someone has to come second.
Yeah.
Well, it is, you know, and that one, that one for me, you know, that period in my racing, I was hooked up there with the guys in Sweden, Jeff Nielsen and his dad, Bill Nielsen, and Rafael was working for me too. But those guys, I just did a rad podcast with Jeff, my former mechanic, and he was 1991, 92 World Enduro Champion and motocross background. Those guys, we just did a great podcast talking about the stuff that his dad did for me and some of the chassis that they built and the engine combinations. And the funny part is that some of the combinations that they built for me in frames and engines, I said, if I could have held on to it, I think I could have won so many more races. But they were so hard to ride, but they were so fast. And that was one of those bikes there too that was so difficult to ride. And the harder I tried to ride it, the more mistakes I made. And then Bomber started to put the pressure on, and I just totally blew it. Just totally.
Well,
they're the races that if you're going to come second, you want to come second in that style, I think.
You know, that's that was one of those things. You just, the track back then, Cardiff was always a challenge, no matter what. And you saw that the track was difficult there too. But we had some absolute. Bill Nielsen built me some absolute beauties of the motors, that they were so torquey and so quick on the response. But the way we geared it that night and had it going there, I kind of just overdid it a little bit.
You had a look at him coming down the back straight? You turn your head and you see him, and the way you entered that corner was like you pictured him going to be there. And if he stayed there, you win the race. But Chris, fair play, set you up hook, line, and sinker, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Yeah, and my idea was going into that corner too, is I saw where he was, and the idea was just to ride him, like you said. But the bike was pulling me so hard, I couldn't hold it. It was just pulling me. And I was just going past the corner, as I did many of the other corners. And I just had to be a little bit, I need to muscle up a little bit more, I think, and I would have might have saved it.
So it's the lack of muscle that done you in this one. I'd like to hear your excuse about the next one, because
okay. All right. Well,
this is amazing.
Peak number 12 it is, and it's a good start from Harris on the inside in red.
Harris again.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We found that from, and now Gollop and Hancock are coming back for more. What a race this is! Gollop has the lead.
This was an insane race too, right?
Look how close it is now. They're wheel to wheel, going into lap 2. Gollop the leader. Ward is third now with Hancock right up Gollop's back wheel. The senior riders of
How
the
awesome is that track anyway, right?
This track.
Oh,
yeah, so good.
He's now got to hold them off. He's going to the dirt. Just look at this coming up the inside. They're going
This
right
bit gets me. The back straight here.
Hancock has the lead.
Yeah.
Right now.
Crazy, right?
Here comes Darcy Ward.
And again, you got this, Greg. You got this.
Sensational Speedway.
Yeah, we're talking about Darcy here, all right?
Yeah.
You haven't got anything when you got D-Dub in the race.
Last lap for Pete number 12.
You can't get that excited.
So far, and a fairy tale result for Darcy Ward.
There's a guy who he just made lines, right? It doesn't matter. There's no line there. He just made one.
And I hope this comes across the right way. I love Speedway in every shape and form, but there's a couple of wow moments in the world of Speedway. That's one of them, unfortunately, on the back of it. Gollop up the inside, then outside, then inside of Nielsen on the last lap at Big Gosh. That was a wow moment. Rickartson around the fence at Cardiff, and more recently, Emil Seifudenov. Have you seen the crazy?
Yeah.
But I guess the point is, Greg, you're going to go down as a part of history on winning, on being a world champion, and being a part of races that, you didn't win. And it was the Grand Prix at stake most times, but you formed so many magical parts of Speedway in all shapes and sizes. It's just a credit to you that when we look today at what we could show, we could be here for 12, 15, 16 days showing highlights of you, and they're all spectacular, mate.
Oh, dude, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. And I'm just stoked that, first of all, I'm stoked that I chose this path in life, right? So my dad turned me on to Speedway at a young age, and that from the first moment I walked through the gates of the turnstiles there at Costa Mesa Speedway, man, it was like somebody just threw out the bait and I grabbed it, man. It was done. I was hooked, and I'm still pretty hooked. But there's nothing better than getting sideways, and doing the way I did. I had had a couple of heroes, and Bruce Penhall being one of my biggest heroes at that age, but surrounded by guys like Bobby Schwartz and John Cook and the Moran brothers and Dennis Segalis. I mean, this was all in this area that these guys were at, and my dad was friends with all of them. So I was just, all I had to do was grasp hold of everything and use it for what they were offering. And I did, and it took me a little longer than expected to achieve everything I wanted to do from the beginning, but then I did much more than I ever expected.
We're going to move on to young Wilbur and talk about Wilbur. Would have been nice to see him in the background there, but we might make another show.
He might be floating around here any minute. They're in between their Zoom classes, so he tends to keep an eye up. Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Okay. We want to talk about something. It was a freak accident. It was something that kept you to miss one of the first Grand Prix ever. It was the Everson crash. We're just going to have a look at the footage, if you don't mind. And I don't.
It's okay.
it was such a freak accident. But as you watch it, we watched it this afternoon, and geez, it looks painful. And obviously it was to keep you out. So let's play it.
Go for it.
Here again now. Number 14. Everson's made a good one, and so has Kasperzakov too. Now Hancock is going to try and go through the middle and around the outside. Oh! That's a crash down the back straight. Hancock and Everson go down. Let's hope they're going to be okay.
Hancock's got his arm caught in the back of the bike.
Yeah,
got his arm caught. I think Jerry's just going to fast forward it because we don't have the technology to skip.
Possibly there for Hancock, the championship leader. Kasperzak goes very wide in the first corner. Everson then gets too much grip coming off the corner here, and the bike just goes straight across. Look at Hancock desperately gets his hand caught.
Looking for all the brakes I could find
of Everson, and that causes a problem. And then subsequently gets his arm and hand caught in his own machine. Watch it now. He's desperately trying to get down, and it's there, just there. The hand gets pulled in on back tire.
Not a good thing to do, guys.
Very awkward crash. Very awkward crash.
You don't advise that one?
Oh, this is, yeah. So,
you don't advise that one?
I wouldn't advise that one. You know, it's definitely not the wisest thing to do. And there's so much to this thing because I've always been a guy who's been very vocal about keeping your foot on the foot peg, and and how Speedway is designed to stand on that foot peg. And I even take my foot off a little bit out of the corners and lift up and get into my tuck out of the corner. But some of these guys take their foot off the foot peg, middle of the corner, and it's a new wave style, and they get away with it and they ride it well. But that was a classic case too, I think, in poor Niels. He grabbed grip and he had his foot off the foot peg at the same time. So when the bike takes off, you're kind of just dead weight in the middle of it, and you can see in his body reaction there's not much he can do. And I remember I watched that thing over and over trying to figure out, because I saw him coming across me. I just remember it like it was just 10 minutes ago, and I remember like that feeling of, oh no, he's up and he's got no control of it at that point. And he saw me trying to put the brakes on and trying to do everything I could to slow down. But you lose. It's so important to stand on that right footrest. And I was taught it at a young age, and maybe I'm old school, but it definitely still has a big meaning. Speedway's the Speedway bike is like a piece of spaghetti. It's so flimsy, and if you let go of it and you sit on the middle of it, the thing's just going like this all the time. And that was one part of it, But the other thing was, that was the same year that they lowered they put the lower mud guards on. So guys like Crumpy and stuff, they had the accidents and burns and all that. So, and they put that mud guard, it's only, so far off the rear tire. Somehow I managed to get my whole arm underneath there, down the wheel. I still can't believe it, And the other thing is, I remember going in and trying to pull out, but once you get into that point, you're stuck. The old, the higher ones, I felt like at least you had a chance to get out, but it's not always good to get in there either. So I just remember like
Niels was really upset he broke his mudguard, eh?
Yeah, he was pretty bummed out. I remember we had a little bit of a fight in the hospital, and we laugh. We're good buddies, we laugh about it. And even in the hospital, we were both laying there next to each other, and I just looked over and said, "You want to fight?" So it's hold on. Yeah, hold on, buddy. I'll help you in a sec. Okay. I got stuck. No problem. Sorry, Carl's bugging me here. He wants to put his bike on the stand.
No. I guess that's the main feedback as well, Greg, from everyone is people had run-ins with you. You just smile, brush it off, and you always respected that Speedway. But we have to bring it up because there's a photo that really got to you, didn't it?
What's that? Oh, this one. That wasn't me.
Oh no. Oh,
I was never there. I had nothing to do with that. I don't know where people keep bringing that up. I don't know.
I think it's Pavlicki, isn't it? Is it Pavlicki, the one going? The guy to have it. Yeah. Put the photo back up. Look at his face.
Did he just do that? Look at the infield guy there too. Going, what are they doing?
And look, I've had a few messages and things about shouldn't be so hard on Nicky, and look, I'll put the record straight. Nicky's done amazing things for the world of Speedway. He's a draw card. His box office, I get it. I got no issues with Nicky Pedersen. I only speak about the facts, and these things happen. I've got absolutely no beef with Nicky Pedersen. I think he's an outstanding ambassador for the sport in his own little way.
Do you want another book or something? What's going on here?
I'm just putting the record straight. I got no beef with Nicky whatsoever. But Greg, you've seen red. Just one too many things between you two, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I probably been on the receiving end numerous times, and like I said, we always make a referral to trying to put the brakes on, that we don't have brakes, right? But you do everything you can to try to stop sometimes. But this time I just thought, okay. And I looked up, and like there was nothing going on that someone was going to do something about it or a red light. I just went, that's enough, And like you said, I saw red, and I just thought, dude, if they're not going to do something about it, then I just cannot control myself right now. And I remember we had to go through all these proceedings with the kind of a internal legal system to discuss it and what they were going to do to fine or ban or whatever. And that was. Nicky was pretty clever to bring it up to, obviously you can't control yourself, sort of a deal, and then you're sitting there just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this right now, Speedway needs a little bit of excitement once in a while. Not that you need to lose, see red and lose it, but in the end, it all worked out all right.
Yeah, Steve Lacero, his surname is. Oh yeah, did you get a fine?
I got a fine. I missed 1 or 2 races. And but what was rad is all the track people, all the fans and everything in Motala there in Piratana, they rallied around and raised like way more than what my fine was. I don't remember what it was, if it was 7,000 crowns or 10,000 Swedish crowns or something, and they raised at least double that, and they wanted me to have it, pay the fine, and do whatever. So I paid the fine myself because I didn't want to do that, and then put the money into this Swedish Junior Speedway program. So I just said, it's not, to give the money back was one thing. And I said, what, I told Tony Olson and the people from Spammo, I said, just take the remainder of the funds here and just put them to your Junior Speedway program and do something with it.
I didn't know that. So that's absolutely fantastic. I know when Boise went through Golov's helmet and Hackney, same story. Everyone raised the money for him, didn't they?
I think before the night was over that night.
yeah, that's bonkers. I love watching that one. You talk about Junior Speedway, Wilbur. Wow, you must be proud, Greg. Yeah.
Dude, I'm super proud, and it's he's like, I see myself in his eyes in so many different ways, but he's so different than me too. If you follow him on social media, I'm kind of the Gamella dude. I never want to really raise too many eyebrows in the wrong manner or anything, but he'll just go out there and throw it out there, right? And just doesn't even care. And I always tell him, man, if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. But most of the time he does both. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything anymore. So he's talented.
I'm still waiting for a friend's acceptance from him on social media, and then I'll follow him.
Really? Is he playing it like that? He's one of those kind of guys. He needs to know you first.
Yeah. So I'll give it a year or two, isn't it?
No, the dude is super talented. When he sits on a speedway bike, it's natural for him. He has a feel for the handlebars and the clutch and the throttle and how he rides and how he sits. You can see that he's got the ingredients, So I remember Steve Lucero telling me years ago, a writer here, a referee, former writer, and he taught me so much as a kid growing up. And he used to tell me, dude, you look fucking perfect, man. You ride so good. You got this style like Penhall, like Schwartz. You do this, you do that. You do everything great. Now just turn the fucking throttle. Yeah. And excuse my French, but that's what Steve said, and it's hard to realize it. But he was one of the first guys that I think I said thanks to when I won the championship in '97. It took me a while.
Yeah, and I spent a bit of time when I was working for Watto, and Watto got injured. A young kid just hit the British shorelines. A young kid called Todd Kurtz. He was riding at Newport, and he asked me to come on board. And I remember, wow, this kid's got some style, and Brady as well now. And was saying to Todd, like, this is what you need to do. And he said, yeah, I think it was Jason Garrity, the name of the boy, won a race. And Todd goes, yeah, but he didn't look good winning it. you know, because he was out of control. Yeah, along the lines of that. So, you know, there are guys that are super, super talented, super smooth. They are quick. They just don't look as quick as well. So, it turns out the comments you got were far from anything but true, because 4 times world champion, you need to be quick.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, I say it took me some time to figure it out, but in the end, it worked out all right. So I thank each and every one of these guys for all the input that I've had. So speaking of input, I got one guy here who's just bugging me. What's up? There's another one. There's another Speedway. There's another Speedway.
He just started riding the other week, wasn't it?
Now he's been riding. Whoops, lost you guys there. He's been riding for quite a while, you know, off and on, and we got this really bitchin' little bike that Mick Metcalf, a friend of mine from the UK, there. He used to work for ProDrive, and they built a lot of my chassis stuff. And he built this little bike for Bill, my middle son, years ago. So Bill rode it a few times, and not the biggest Speedway dude, but this little guy he's pretty hardcore, man. He likes to ride.
It's really nice to hear you speaking as a proud dad. Obviously, the pressure you've always been a proud dad. We all are as parents, but really nice to see you in that light, Greg, with no racing commitments, no stress about what's going on with equipment or injuries. You and Jenny must be just loving having the boys around now.
Oh man, they're the light in every day, you know. And over the last year, we kind of had like a life-stopping moment with her diagnosis and stuff. It was like, whoa, you know, suddenly everything gets put into perspective. It's like, wait a minute, you know. I remember telling Wilbur too, because he was devastated when we broke the news to them, what was going on and what was going to happen and what we were going to have to do now. And I remember he was, you know, he's a teenager. He's 13, 14 years old, almost 14 at that stage, and starting, you know, going into middle school. And he was just like, "What about me?" You know, I'm like, I get it. I don't expect you to understand it, and but buddy, we need mom here for a long time, not just a good time. All right, so we need to get mom well, and then everything's going to be good. And of course, you know, everything worked out really good. And but these guys every day, you know, they're so different, all three of them, so different. And little Carl there, he's kind of like the life of the house right now. He just, you know, because he plays everybody. He wants to be with the big boys, wants to be with mom, he wants to be with the little guys, and it's all about Carl.
Bring him over, let him have a wave.
Yeah, Carl, come here, buddy.
Well,
he might get nervous now.
2 seconds.
An old buddy of ours.
We've actually got somebody who wants to say hello. He actually started racing Speedway recently, and he said that you're a big inspiration to him. So I'll just patch him in now.
Just started racing Speedway.
Here he is. All right, Wilbur.
Childsy, now you can ask him if he'll friend you on Facebook or social media.
I don't have Facebook or Instagram or anything.
I can't hear Childsy or Jerry.
You can't hear us?
It's probably a good thing.
We had this problem the other day. You can't hear either of us?
Yeah, I can't hear any of you guys except Dad.
Oh, we'll bring him back in.
How about now?
No, it's still not working now.
Get rid of Childsy now.
How about now? Childsy.
No.
Hello?
No, I can't hear anyone.
Oh.
Have you got AirPods? Oh, that's technology for you.
Yeah, I can't hear anyone. That's weird.
That's annoying. We had the same problem with Greg the other day. He couldn't hear me.
I couldn't hear you, yeah.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Maybe. Okay. That's a bummer. I can bring him in here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Wilbur, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, if you go into
maybe he can hear me, so maybe you come into here, buddy.
All right, do that.
Cool. Here we go. So
that would be special.
Yeah. Come on, Bill, say hi.
Work better.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that would have been good if we had all 4 of us all on the same screen. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but
check out this little weapon.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Wilbur just built this thing. He bought an old beach cruiser, and then found this little motor online. They sell a full kit, and he built it up. So now they got a little motorized bike there. So Bill's taking off.
Oh, that looks dangerous, Greg.
So, hey, Carl. What's up?
Hey, Carl, what's up?
They said, hey, Carl, what's up?
Oh, hang on. Let me take a photo of that. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone. He's lost interest.
Oh,
there he
Bill.
is.
Carl or Bill?
Get all of them in. Get all of them in.
Get all the boys in.
Come here. The other guy just took off to go see his basketball buddy or something. Jump in here, Carl. They want to.
Oh, that's a nice.
There we go.
There we go. So I woke up the other morning, Greg, to a message from a friend in Australia, Melanie. She messaged, so you made Greg Hancock's Instagram page famous, not much.
Dude, you're the man.
Oh, once upon a time, maybe. Half the people watching this wouldn't even know. Who's this guy? Come on. Jerry's a bit more famous. He's got a syllable in his name, so, which is I always I telling Jerry the other day. I met a guy at work, and he gave me a fond memory about when I was growing up as a kid, how much I hated my parents for calling me Shane because it didn't have a syllable, and I wanted to be a Jason, Peter, Michael, Stephen, because you go out and they'd introduce themselves, and then I'd go, yeah, I'm Shane, and they go, Sean, no, Shane, and they Sean, no, I just so much wanted a syllable in my name, man. So didn't get it.
So that's where Child Z came in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Child Z. Yeah, and my surname Child is from my mother's fourth husband. Mate, I should make a show.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't even born Shane Child. Oh, where does it end? Oh, where does it end? Wilbur. Mate, growing up in the footsteps of your dad, yeah, it's not a lot to live up to. 5 world championships to get you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, to me, it's not that big of a. I mean, it's a big deal, but for me, he's more of a. For me to look up to him now, he's more of a coach and a trainer. I don't try to think of him as a world champion. I think of him more as my dad who's trying to help me. And it's I can take pressure and I can use that pressure into motivation and stuff like that. So I think it's a different view. I look at it.
You both stood up.
No, I'm sitting down.
All right.
Hey, you want me to stand up?
I was going to say, he looks taller than you. Last time I saw him, he was about this big.
He's about 4 or 5 inches taller than me already.
Oh, wow.
We got some photos, haven't we, Jerry?
That's nothing to brag about, though.
Are you on the? Are you on the 500 jet, Wilbur?
No, I'm on 50s right.
We lost them.
We've lost them.
They're back.
There you go.
We lost sound.
Now we've lost Wilbur. I can't hear a word he's saying.
Technology. It's Facebook.
Definitely something Wilbur's doing. He's breaking things, eh?
Wilbur. Well, Wilbur, if you can hear us, we're going to get you back on for a junior episode of the chat show, if that's okay, with some young British kids in that as well, if you can hear me. They look.
They've got some good photos of him. Look at him there.
Oh, look. Oh, have you got the one with the Chris Holder interview?
No, I haven't.
We're going to get Chris Holder on tonight to ask you, who don't you want to be stuck in a lift with? Do you remember asking Chris that a couple of years ago?
No, we're not hearing them at all, are we?
No.
This is an epic fail. Why are we losing audio? Well, I'm sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen at home.
Maybe take Wilbur's AirPods out. Maybe the two Bluetooth. No?
Cannot hear you. How have we just lost the signal? We had it fine before. Try using Wilbur's phone again. Try reconnecting to the link. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is not.
Don't be sorry, Jez. This is live.
Yeah. We have got some really good questions as well that are coming up. We just
and I guess whilst we try re-establish that with Greg, what we will say is about Friday night show. We do have Team GB, Simon Stead, Ollie Allen coming on to talk all things Team GB with the great British public. And we have managed to get some prizes from Team GB to give away to the British public. So our very first competition will be running on Friday to win some stuff live on the show, kindly gave to us by Team GB. So make sure you tune in for that one, 7 o'clock on Friday. Team GB and some merchandise that they gave us to give away live on the show. So that's all coming up. We do have some very big names in Speedway. We are talking top half dozen in the current Grand Prix series that have agreed to come on in the very, very near future. So we have that as well. So we'll just wait and see if we can get some sound back.
Here we go. We can hear Wilbur.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
We're back.
We can hear Greg as well now. Is that for the same one or not?
Hear me too?
Don't know. We can hear you anyway.
All
That's
right.
the main thing. We've got you back.
We're just saying.
Go for it, Charlesy. Go.
Yeah, we're just saying. This Friday we've got Team GB on. They gave us some stuff to give away. A lot of questions relating to the British Speedway series or season, if you like, and why the riders don't ride over here. There's some questions around that, but it made up your career in the very early stages. Poland and Sweden now have the dominance. What can Britain do to sort of re-establish those contacts?
Well, I mean, this has been a topic for a lot of years and what happened. But, when I first went over there, and a lot of us first went over there, and myself and Billy, and then even the guys before, like England was really the only league. It was the dominant league, but you watched over the years and obviously when the wall came down too, Poland really started to grow. Sweden was expanding. They were opening their doors to foreign riders everywhere. And you just saw that these leagues slowly started to take what was going on in the UK and just developing and it grew quickly, Like you said, us going over to Australia with the Tappy series, all the international guys coming down there, that helped to bring them up and reestablish Australia as a dominant nation. And the same thing happened here in the U.S. is when Ole or Ivan and Barry Briggs, those guys came over here to go race, and they basically lightened up our whole program. Looking at it, what's happened now is there isn't that breeding ground in the UK hasn't dropped off. It just hasn't succeeded to overstep where it was. It's still in the same position it always was, and although the television has been really big, and but the contracts we have now and the racing and the competition in Sweden and Poland is so tough and so big now, and it's demanding. You have to be there. So it's tough though to be a guy like Luke Becker, or Brock Nickel at this stage. If we use these two guys because I'm American. It's almost
I think our audio is coming from Wilbur's phone, but now he's moved away. You're quite quiet.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So Brock Nickel and Luke Becker.
Those guys, it's impossible for those guys to get in a contract in Sweden or in Poland without having any experience somewhere else. No promoter really wants to go out on a limb and bring in a guy. Even the same for the Aussies, right? They come over and they go to Europe, and no team is just going to give them a contract and let them go racing. You've got, was it Jamin Lindsay, who had to do some time in Poland and stayed there for a long time between Poland and Denmark, I think. And then we did the same with Brock for half a year. He came and stayed with us in Europe, and Luke stayed for a whole year with us. And we got him into some lower division racing in Rzeszów, also in Sweden too. And those kind of things are not easy to... you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Trying to find a way. Just hold it.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, these guys, they have to go somewhere. And England is always the place to establish yourself. It's a shame these days because a lot of the top riders leave the UK and go race in Poland or go race in Sweden or both places and don't want to go back to the UK because it becomes so demanding back and forth and rain-offs, and it's a lot of racing. And I think the clubs now and the contracts in Poland are much more demanding, that they want you to make a choice. What's going to be your number one league? Is it going to be Poland, which is what they want? And if you choose to do that, then really that's where you're going to be. You know, if there's a question of there's a race you have in the UK and suddenly a race in Poland gets rescheduled, you pretty much got to do the race in Poland. But how do you bail out of that one in the UK, even though it was on the contract? You know, there's a fine line right now, but eventually I have a feeling that what they're doing in Poland, they're building a professional league, which is fantastic. It's growing so big, but you're going to be limited. You're going to have to choose, I think, soon. And maybe with this coronavirus, you're going to see that that's going to happen, right? You got to choose if you want to race in England, do you want to race in Poland, do you want to race in Sweden? If all these leagues run, you're not going to be able to travel in between. And this might be the beginning of separating Speedway, where you can only race one league. You can't, you know, as it is now, what other sport in the world can you race 5 leagues potentially in the same year? It doesn't work.
Yeah. What about Wilbur? Where do you see his future? Is it in Speedway? Is it in the UK?
You know, you pretty much, you got to go there to get your feet wet. You know, Wilbur's kind of he's in a position where, you know, we're going to do everything we can to help him get as far as we can, but it's up to him to do the work, right? And he's got 2 passports, so he can race as an American or he can race as a Swede, however he decides to do it. But he's got to decide where he wants to live, and then you can decide what you want to do. But
so he can ride as a Swedish. So that means he's got to put SON on the end of Hancock. Hancockson.
Hancockson, yeah. Never know.
Wilbur, if there was a club in the UK that you could choose to ride for, who would it be?
I mean, I enjoy Wolverhampton. I mean, after Luke went there and seeing how cool and established that club is, I enjoy watching them ride, and that track too is really cool. It's pretty similar to some of the tracks over here.
Yeah, perfect. Look, Ty spent a lot of years there, and it hasn't hurt his career, has it? So, look, time's stretching on. We've got some questions we're going to run through, Jez.
Yeah, well, we actually got one about Wilbur riding in the UK, and it was actually to ask about whether he would ride. If Cradley Heath was still going at Dudley would you want Wilbur to ride for Heath and to follow in his dad's footsteps? But obviously they don't run, but if they did.
I'm going to start with this one here, a question from Simon Corbett, question for Greg. Do you think Billy retired too early?
Yeah, I think so. You know what, you guys? There's some gardeners have just come to the next door house. I don't know if that's too loud. Pretty loud.
We can hear it.
Just got the garage here. Hold on a second. Like that. We'll do something like that.
We're full of technical difficulties today, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I prefer it this way, Jez.
It's real.
Oh, you're doing great.
It is real. No edits here. The gardener's turned up. Oh my God. Yeah, sort of, yeah, just might have to yell. Simon Corbett, you can see the question. Do you think Billy retired too early?
You know what? I personally, yes, I think so. It's he still had a lot left in him for sure, and but at the same talk, I understand, because at that time everybody knows, and I think Billy was pretty vocal about it himself, that he lost his main sponsor, he lost his main mechanic, the guy who had been with him for a lot of years. So trying to rebuild and start from scratch, you know, getting a whole new sponsorship program he can probably manage, but finding a mechanic, somebody who knows you better than you know yourself and knows exactly what to do, how to make things work. I mean, Billy had a turnkey operation going there at that stage because they had everything in such a ritual or format, and it was regimented, so they knew what they were doing. And suddenly you've got to go back and train somebody to do it that way, and then trust them that everything is going to be done the way you want. So I totally get it. You know, it's I don't know if he would ever regret giving up like that. I'm sure he's happy with his decision, but yeah, probably. I think he had quite a few years left in him.
Yeah. All right. Next one down, Jess.
Oh, we got Chris DeMarsh messaged and said, do you think BSI missed a trick by not having a US Grand Prix in 2015 or 2017 with you as reigning world champion?
Well, of course, if you ask me that, I'm going to say for sure they did. But, because I would have loved nothing more than to race a world championship event in my home country. And that's the only thing I never got to do in my whole career, and, I remember going to the 82 World Final at the LA Coliseum and watching Bruce Penhall win his second world title there. And it was like, could it be any better? I think the best chance we had, it was closest chance was probably in 2012-13. With Monster was still early in the series too. They were working really hard to try to get around here in the U.S. And they were all around at the Home Depot Center where the Galaxy were playing, and all sorts of different places. But
yeah,
it didn't work out. And it's I'm bummed out that it didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it won't happen again in the future. It just
could happen for Wilbur one day.
That's right. That would be the main goal. I can live it through him.
Well, as long as Wilbur knows where he got his big break on Facebook Live, right here on the Speedway Chat Show.
So the next question goes on from that and says, where would the best venue for Speedway Grand Prix to be in the US?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one. There's been so much talk that to have it here in California would be phenomenal, right? Because this is our Speedway Mecca. But then again, there's no reason why it needs to be right here. There's been talk of Las Vegas. There's been talk of the East Coast. There's been talk of Midwest, all over the place. But right now, I
spoke with Steve Luxton, and he was trying to sort of an event out at Daytona Bike Week, and have an event there, which would be quite a cool event to have, in Florida. I don't know how many Speedway rides there are there, but
well, it doesn't matter. It's still, you can take
the location,
right?
Yeah.
My vote's Vegas, if anything helps.
Vegas would not be a bad place, right?
Yeah.
And stadium would be fantastic. I've been to some Supercross stuff there and Monster Energy Cup, and they've that place would be ideal, man. It's
the after party.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before, during, after.
Yeah. Here's a really good question. I think it's really good. Andy Hopkins, are Ty and Bartosz going to reign at the top for the foreseeable future, or do you see it more open than that?
I see it more than that. Ty's at a crucial point in his career now. He's had some tremendous success, and these youngsters are going to have to keep him on his toes heavily because these guys are hungry. You can see what Bartosz did, and you got Magic Janowski. I still don't think you've seen the best of him yet. But there are some youngsters. Look what Leon Madsen did last year. Anything can happen, man. It's not going to be easy. I don't know that those two guys are going to reign, but they are definitely going to be two of the top contenders. And I don't know. I see this door opening up much, much more.
So there's another one that's quite important for all the European fans. Is there going to be a farewell meeting for Greg Hancock, either in the UK or in Europe?
Well, there were plans to do a farewell tour this year, but at the moment you're getting it right here live on Speedway Chat. So,
yeah, there we go.
No, there were some plans going on, and Joe at Monster, Joe Parsons and BSI, they've been very influential in doing a few things over the year. But I would definitely like to do something there in the UK. I've got a long history of racing for different clubs, and it would be great to sort of have one final showdown with everyone, and maybe somewhere in Poland, maybe somewhere in Sweden. I don't know, but it's on the cards. But right now, we can't really play too many cards.
Well, you know who your host can be.
Well, there's somebody else.
We'll see. And another good one, this one from Matt Brooks. Jerry, Exeter's county ground track tended to be either loved or hated as a track. What was your view? And he remembers you doing well there for Cradley in the USA.
That one, if we bring Billy back into the equation, the year that they was all one league in the UK there, and we had to go to Exeter twice, I think, that year. And I heard so many stories about that place. I'd never been there. And all I heard is about this this wall that was built out of an old ship or something. It was all steel fence that went around the track, and he pretty much had to bump the fence like the Eka down in the third and fourth corner. But when we got to the track, I remember Billy he refused to do a track walk. He would not go out there because he was so scared before he did it. And as it turned out that night, he went out on the track, he did his heats, and he didn't even do a lap of honor after his heats. He went straight back to the pits and sat there until his next heat. And he got a 15-point maximum, and I had a paid maximum behind him because I was behind him 2 or 3 times because he didn't look back. It was like he made the start, no matter where I was, he just went. And most of the time I was trailing pretty far behind him. And but it was very, very memorable, freaky, kind of dark. And but I'm glad I got to ride there.
Yeah, perfect. Good, great answer, Jerry.
So we all know your love for the sport, but is there anything in particular about the sport that's made you race for as long as you did?
I think as we mentioned it earlier too, right? For me, it was my dad. He pretty much gave me the drug when I was a young kid, taking me to Costa Mesa to watch, and the first time I actually got that thing to break loose and get sideways, that's been it right there. You know, to get your motorcycle going straight for, you know, with a few miles per hour and excuse me, pitch it into the corner sideways. It doesn't get any better than that, man. I'm just a 2-wheel drifter.
Oh, fantastic. There's a couple of funny ones. Jerry and I didn't know whether we were going to ask them, but one chap sent in about 4 questions, but I like his last one. I'm gonna ask you, what's your favourite Scottish track?
Oh, the Scottish one, I think.
Steve Finlay, I think it's from, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I used to like the Old Berwick.
The Old Berwick.
Okay.
But would you call that Scotland?
Well, it's a border.
Technically, it's not. Technically, it's in.
Okay, so Edinburgh, Glasgow.
Let's go with, man. I should probably just say Edinburgh, right? Because I got Scottish championships there. But over the last few years, I've developed quite a relationship with Gordon Perriman and a lot of close ties with the guys up there in Glasgow. You know, so it's you know, Glasgow is a pretty rad place, man. If you haven't been there, you should check it out.
I like doing these ones. Can Greg say hi to Aaron? He's 7 years old from Glasgow. He's your #1 Scottish fan. Aaron, age 7.
Aaron, what's up, buddy? Happy birthday to you. No, maybe you're just, was it a birthday?
He's 7. I think he's just 7.
It's your birthday soon anyway, right? So happy birthday for your birthday. Buddy, I hope to see you again in Scotland sometime up there in Glasgow.
And Wilbur, one for you. Lawrence Rogers, do you still have the stopwatch? Does that mean anything?
Wilbur was doing kind of like a team manager for the U.S. team.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right, he must be, yeah. You still got your stopwatch. Jerry, do you want to come in with any of these? Paul Crippus, he mentioned that Stoke has closed down, had its last meeting, Luma Road. It's sad to see these ones shutting down now, Greg.
Yeah, you know, I mean, over the years, obviously, I've been around for quite a while now too, and some of these tracks that were there for many, many years before I was racing, and I raced a lot at a lot of them, and we've seen Cradley close, we've seen Oxford and Reading, and now Coventry and Stoke, and I mean, Bradford, all these great places closing down, and you always hope that they're going to come back, right? Because it's just, there's so much history and there's so much to it, but sadly, a lot of these places, you know, we've seen the last of them, but you know, I really hope that Jeff Davies and the people from Coventry can keep that one going. But man, it's tough, you know, it's always sad.
We've got time for one more because we've just gone past the hour. Cameron Saville, you rode in various teams, Greg. Is there a rider that you haven't team rode with or that you wish you could have?
Are we talking just in my career alone? Let's see. I never really got the team ride with Thomas Golub, and that would have been pretty special to be in a team with him or even Tony Rickardson. I never really got to team up with these guys like that. So those kind of dudes would have been awesome. Golub would have been awesome, like, you know, so memorable, because that dude's just like, to the day for me, is the most talented, most amazing speedway rider ever. So that would be probably top of my list.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about Golub, him around Big Gosh, he used to own the joint, didn't he? That race against Jimmy Nielsen to win the Polish Grand Prix really. I still watch it back going, he's not going to win this one. He can't win it. Sensational. Jerry, anything to add, mate?
No, I think that's it. It'd be cool to get Wilbur back when we do the youth episode, and get to hear, you know, from him and maybe some other Americans.
Isn't that the one I should be in?
Yeah.
Well, I think what Jerry was saying earlier, Greg, is he really wants to have current people on the show.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I said, don't you dare speak about Gregory like that. He's got a syllable in Gregory.
Dude, he does, right? And he can make anything happen.
Listen, Greg, hopefully everyone enjoyed tonight's chat. You're an absolute superstar, a gentleman and a friend for coming on the show. We hope to continue this going. Jerry and I have got visions about doing a live Speedway chat show on the Monster Rig someday, so at a GP. So dreaming big. Hope Joe's watching. He should see the numbers that we're getting anyway.
Yeah, I seen a message from Joe earlier.
Dude, I could see you guys. Dude, you would be the ultimate host too, bro.
Thanks. And no, that means so much. Every time, no matter if it's been a year, a month, or 5 years, when we see each other, it's like we only seen each other yesterday, and it's a privilege to be called a friend of yours, mate. Really, really, really can't say how much we appreciate you coming on the show. I know the fans, as we got through most of the questions, which is awesome. The fans really appreciate your time, Greg. So all the best to Wilbur in the up and coming future as well. Stay safe in LA, and so happy to hear that Jenny's doing well.
Thanks a lot, you guys. I know I said the other day too. I love what you guys are doing here. I think this is awesome, and I'll be watching a lot of it to follow what you guys are up to. So thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on board. If I can ever offer any, whatever, useful questions. Let's just
current question. Yeah.
I want to be a part of the current news. Stay safe over there too.
Cheers, Greg. Cheers, Will. Well.
Oh wow! What a chat. Sorry, I probably spoke a bit too much, Jerry, but I do get
I'm used to it now. I'm used to not getting a word in edgeways, but it's fine.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go on.
No. I'm just really looking forward to Friday's episode. I think it's going to be a good one. We've got some giveaways, and we're going to hear from Simon and Ollie on what they're going to be doing in the current climate with the things that they can say, you know, and what's been, how they're working on getting some racing this season. We've got some giveaways, which is going to be great. We're going to have 3 different prizes to give away. So that'll be fun. We'll work out how we're going to do that. But it's been a crazy time. We've got, in the last week, we've confirmed more guests for later episodes. We're not going to say until Friday who next week's guests are, but we've got I think I checked on the calendar. I think we've got to about the 19th of June until we've got a free show. So it's a pretty exciting time, and I'm stoked and blown away with the response that we've had, and we've had some really nice messages. So I just want to say thanks.
Lots of nice messages, but we have had 3 red emoji angry faces, and I'm not emoji expert, but I don't think they're good ones, are they? But we've only had 3. But thanks for your comments, guys. Just remember, Jerry and I are exactly the same as you, Speedway fans through and through. We just happen to have friends that race that we all look up to, and we're happy to take advantage of that position and try bring you the top stars from the Speedway world into your homes during what is tremendously difficult time throughout the world. So in all seriousness, hope everyone's staying safe. I'd love to catch up with everyone that sent in a comment at a Speedway venue when it gets going. And my friends that know me know that I won't get me wallet out to buy you a drink, so you have to buy me one.
That is true. Also, like Charles, he says, we do have a group of contacts. If we don't have access to them directly. You know, there are people that we know who will have. If you want to drop us a message or anything like that, and we will try our best to get the people that you want. So, you know, we've got a pretty impressive lineup, I think. So.
Like, the fans want to watch the show that obviously they want to hear. So we want to know what you want to hear and what you want to see. So give us ideas. We like being critiqued. Don't like red angry emojis. So if I could scrub those 3 out, I would. But the rest of the comments, you've really embraced the show. We're trying our best. We're only human. We won't always get it right, but really, thanks for watching. What a great show.
Here we go. Here's a comment. Ty's got 20% off all his merchandise. There we go. Head over to Ty's website, get 20% off. Tell him we sent you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Adios. See ya. Bye.